Let's have a little look. Feeling energized, Dave, after your Cliff Bar?
So energized. My Cliff Bar.
It energizes you. That's a good plug for Cliff, that is. Not for Craig, though.
Yeah, every time before I go on a Tuesday tune-in, I got to make sure I'm adequately energized.
We are live. Happy days. Right, let's check the chat and see who is on. Almost certainly Anthony Christian is going to type first.
Do you reckon? I'm not convinced today. I think he's way behind it today.
Angus. Hey, Angus. How you doing?
Angus Ross.
We got Matt. It's cold outside. There's no kind of atmosphere. I'm all alone, more or less. Let me fly far away from here. Is this like a song?
Fun.
Is that what it is?
In the sun. I want to lie shipwrecked and comatose, drinking fresh mango juice.
You and lyrics.
Goldfish shows.
This is the Dave show now.
It's Red Dwarf.
That's brilliant. Honestly, absolutely loved that.
Mate, if I find a fellow dwarfer, that's that was my ringtone for years. It's like one of my all-time favorite comedy sitcoms. It brings me back to my childhood.
Brilliant. Yeah, I hope all is well out there. How are people bearing in this fantastically lovely warm weather that we've been having in the UK? Let's have a look who's on then. So we've got Angus, Matt, Dave, Rimington, bonjour. How we doing? Are we live, Mr. Bry? How you doing, mate? Hope all is well. Josh, Lee. Who else have we got on here? Carrietti. That's quite a good karaoke.
Oh yeah, no, actually, yeah, no, I like it.
You know what? I'm going to use that. That is a brilliant
Richie J.
Hey, Rich. How you doing, mate? Good to hear from you. Jim Blues.
Oh, God.
I did see, Jim, that was it like 25 years in your career, mate. Fantastic. Saw on Facebook. I don't know how you can do that long. Absolutely crazy. But fantastic. Who else we got? We got Dan. We got Jerome, of course, shortlisted for the British Travel Awards. Of course. We'll come on to that in a bit. Josh, flight to Kilimanjaro on Friday. So excited. Josh, after all this time.
Oh, my glasses are scratched.
Fantastic. Really?
I've got like a weird...
Oh, no. Oh, mate, that's a shame. I know glasses is such a pain, isn't it?
I need to get new ones now.
Need to get new ones, mate.
Yeah.
We got John, ready for my flight to Kili on Thursday as well. Got a lot of you traveling out at the moment. It's amazing. Daniel, layers. Everybody loves cake.
Everybody loves layers.
You know what? I love that. I've got a list of 10 I'm going to put in the High Altitude Evertrekkers group, and I need you guys to, because I was deciding on what pun, what movie to use.
Everybody loves cake. Name the movie.
Come on, you know that one. Welcome to the...
Is that in...
Layer cake.
Layer cake.
Everybody
loves cake. Is in...
But they said layers, and everybody loves cake, and I thought, ooh, is that layer cake?
Yeah. Welcome to the layer cake, son. Born, take...
Very good.
You know that bit? Move on, take less.
No.
Soon you're in that rarefied atmosphere and you don't even remember what it smells like.
No.
It's a layer cake.
Is that what he says? Is it saying there?
Yeah, no.
I feel like we're digressing big time here.
Yeah, anyway.
Hey, this is all about layers.
Yeah.
Because, we it may seem very niche today in terms of right, we're going to talk about base layers. Because over the years, we have talked about specific things, altitude sickness, in vaccinations, we got fitness, we got equipment. And equipment, we do like to kind of break down into certain things. And we've done waterproofs, down jackets, boots, everything.
Gloves, socks, pants.
We know we've done base layers a couple of years ago, but we realized that we haven't touched on it for a while, especially because it's actually really warm in here. But because it's so warm outside, and a lot of our trips have been warm as of late during the summer. But then as we're going into the autumn and eventually into winter, we're going to go back to what we all love, which is the cold. So we thought, well, what better subject to take on today? And we'll talk about which ones to use when it's hot, which ones to use when it's cold, and everything in between. So, that kind of sets the scene a little bit.
Yeah, and it's right because it's sort of coming to the end of summer now, but we feel like we're just getting a bit of summer now. August has been an absolute washout.
Yeah, it's been shocking, hasn't it?
And recently, I was thinking about it. We've been doing more training and more time in the mountains.
Yeah.
And we went out on a couple of big Brecon treks during the middle of August that I honestly felt like was in another universe.
Crazy,
it was jet washed by like high, 40, 50 mile an hour winds, rain, cold,
Fantastic,
sleet,
wasn't
and then you're thinking like, wow, middle of August. Now, if you prepped, for middle of August temperatures, you'd have froze to death on those hikes,
You would have.
So yeah, it's important to know kind of your, what these layers can do for you in terms of like keeping you warm, keeping you cool, keeping you dry. Yeah,
nice. And especially with base layers, because there are a lot out there. Although if you do keep it simple, you won't go far wrong when it comes to base layers. Especially you're looking at the materials. Now there's lots of well-known materials. You've got your synthetics. Your kind of polyester, your polypropylene. They're the kind of the stretchy ones. I know it's a mouthful. That one.
It's fun to say.
It's polypropylene.
Polypropylene.
Say that really quick 3 times.
Polypropylene.
Hey, there we go. It's but polyester and polypropylene are kind of two of the biggies really when it comes to what you wear when you sweat in the hot weather. And then you go on the flip side of that then, and we'll go into the cold weather, and you look at your majority of your wool types, your smart wools, your merino wools, your bamboo, those types.
Yeah. And I tend to wear a lot of cotton. I do. I think that's best, isn't it? Is
that best? Is it?
Yeah, it's
actually what these are right
exactly,
now. They're not wicking, I can tell you. But Andrew Scott, don't you dare mention cotton.
Yeah.
Well, that's a shame. There's plenty of nice cottons out there. Where we got we got Dot from EastEnders.
Yeah, she was lovely. Then
What about Rosie Cotton?
Oh yeah.
Sorry, Lord of the Rings geek knowledge there.
Yeah.
That's Sam's missus, by the way. Anyone watch Lord of the Rings? Rosie Cotton, Dot Cotton. Yeah, whatever cottons are there.
Son.
Cotton Traders. You ever shopped in there?
Yeah, I've been to Cotton Traders.
Quite old school, but Cotton Traders.
There was a club in Newport called the Cotton Club.
No way.
Yeah.
Is that dodgy club? Good club?
No, it was all right.
Yeah.
As far as Newport clubs go, one of the worst I've been doing.
Brilliant. Okay, so there's plenty of cottons out there, but yeah, we wouldn't. Cotton is definitely one to kind of steer. Cotton Eye Joe. That is.
We got to call it. You got
I
to call
respect
it.
that.
That's the best one.
I do like the play on words there, guys.
No, I'm glad Paul's turned up because where did he come from? Where did he go?
Very good. That is brilliant. You're on it today.
Do you know what? It's a Cliff Bar.
Is that what it is? It gives you. Is it full of puns?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. It's careful, mate. I'll drop off.
Focus, lads.
Focus.
We're getting told off by Jerome.
Focus, lads.
I need
base
to learn
layers,
about base layers.
No, he's dead right.
See, as soon as we do one about rocks, he'd be right on it, wouldn't he?
Oh yeah, then all the rock puns will be coming out, But no, you are right. It is really important. It's something that I stress about quite a lot and I've recently rebought a lot of my base layers. It's like my wardrobe. I like to rejig it every now and again. The base layers that I've owned for a long time. Mm-hmm. Many years, many trips, many saturated, hot days have gone through those.
Highly saturated.
And but one thing I am very specific about. Now, you can just buy singular base layers, right? That will people just wear all the time, no matter the weather.
Yeah.
If you run hot like me, or if you run super cold, then you might want to think about getting lightweight and heavier weight like base layers, right? And deploying them for different times.
Well, it's a good point, because you do have your kind of 3 levels, don't you, of base layer? You've got your super lightweight ones, which the thing with base layers is the way they work is that they need to sit quite close. They're quite tight, quite figure hugging. And I know for some people, it definitely shows all your shapes and sizes. So
I'm a baggy guy.
You get baggy ones.
Do you know why?
Apparently, though, it doesn't work as well.
You're right, it doesn't, because you want the sweat and the moisture and the heat to move from your body through the base layer and out through the layers.
Yeah.
But I have to balance that with overheating.
I see.
If you have a base layer on that's quite tight fitting and quite hugging,
it just doesn't work.
You do feel a lot hotter and you don't get a lot of breeze and cold air. So I actually buy mine a size bigger than I need.
Interesting.
To keep on top of that, like cool.
It's it's weird, isn't it? And this goes to show that we're talking about this now and what works for Dave. I'm the opposite. I wear ones that are quite sort of tight to me. I don't sweat as much.
And you tend to wear warmer ones.
I do, the thicker, because in terms of the lightweight, because you've got your lightweight, then you've got your kind of medium level, and then you've usually got the heavyweight. The heavyweight base layers, it's weird because majority of the time you don't wear it as a base layer. It's more like it's got a zip on it, or you can wear it's got a hood, or you can actually wear it as a mid layer. Quite a lot of the thicker base layers, obviously you can use in sort of winter. You've got a one that springs to mind. You've got the Rab Al Pull-On, which over the years I've used the last several years in different iterations of it.
Yeah.
And that really, I've only ever worn that once during winter on the way to Everest Base Camp. Other than that, I'll wear it as kind of on top of something else.
Yeah.
But it is interesting because like for me, I do like a tighter. You're like a bit looser.
Yeah.
I mean, for everyone, how do people like to wear their base layers on the comments there? Do you prefer it kind of figure hugging, or do you prefer a bit looser?
Yeah.
It's interesting to see how people use it in the community. What works for you guys? Because I suppose that the reason we're talking about this is, especially with base layers, there's loads out there, but you need to kind of find what works for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes, try and do it on your training before you go onto the bigger mountains, because you'll find out what kind of systemized way you use. We don't want to overcomplicate this, right? It's a base layer, but we label them as systems to kind of say, right, this is what I'm going to do when it's this kind of temperature, or this is what I'm going to do if it's hot. This is what I'm going to do if it's cold. Interesting to see where everyone's at. I mean, I know a lot of you have already been on treks with us. Some of you are new ever trekkers. Here we go. What we got then? We got Daniel, normal regular fit to wick away warm. Nice. Andrew, looser for me. Lee, I like it loose. Keep it clean. I like loose. Always seems tight. Yeah. I mean, okay, maybe more treks needed.
Yeah.
Jerome, I have both types, but would generally go with Dave's option. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Whatever works for you guys.
See,
yeah.
Dan, he's like snug. It is one of those, like, because technically the way they're designed to work, like Andy says, is that they're a base layer is like a next skin layer.
Yeah.
And the idea is because all of that sweat, all of that moisture that you want off your body, because it's if that stays next to your skin, when you start cooling down and you get into colder temperatures, then you can get really cold and your core temperature can drop. So the idea is you move that through the base layer out into your outer layers and beyond, and it's done.
Okay.
But yeah, I can't handle it. It's too hot for me if I have one that's like hugging. It just feels on a hot day.
It's
if
hard,
I've got a tight one, I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like I need to get a breeze. Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, to compensate for that, I'll always carry a spare base layer in my bag.
Okay.
So if I do start to cool down, or if I do start to get cold, I can swap it out, like we did when we went to Scotland. Remember?
Yeah.
Got to the top of the Munro.
Yeah.
I was covered in sweat. I knew that I was going to be at my highest point, and the day was getting on. So I took my base layer off, but a dry one on.
Yeah.
And that
I
made
saw
a
a
big
couple
difference.
of people running down the mountain when you did that. I don't know. Did you scare them?
Yeah, no, they've been warned. Yeah. See a big fat guy covered in tattoos on the mountain with his shirt off.
Less of the fat. But no, it's exactly, and it's a really good point actually. It's something I do as well. Is that sometimes going out, especially in the warm weather like this, it's good to take a spare, because if you are wet and you can get a bit. You have a bit of overconfidence and think, I'll be fine. And a majority of the time you take one base layer, you're out in the mountains for a few hours. If it gets wet, you're fine. You're probably going to smell and people will be walking away from you, but you'll be fine. But from a comfortability factor, if you're spending several hours in the mountains and it's windy, especially on the tops, if you're up in the Munros in Scotland, the lakes, the Peak District, in Snowdonia, in North Wales, if the wind picks up, you're going to start to get really cold, and it can affect you negatively. So having a spare one, they're really lightweight, and just chuck it on. It can change your day.
They weigh nothing. They take up almost no space. I mean, I've had a bag that was super, super packed before, and no matter how hard it is to pull that buckle down, you can get a base layer in.
Is that what it is? The tight air gaps.
Anywhere, or I'll stick it in the pack in the front, or I'll stick it in the same bit where you put your the waterproof bit.
Yeah, okay.
There's always these compartments, but I went for a trek on Sunday and I had a spare base layer with me. I didn't put it on because, as it turned out, I didn't need to.
Yeah.
But it was there just in case, for whatever reason. If it rains and you start to get cold. Important.
I love Dave's Remington there. We're proper stinking after 10 days though. It's very true. I mean, the color of your base layer will be different after 10 days. And it goes without saying, worth taking a few of them potentially.
Yeah.
You don't want to be taking 7, 2 or 3 on a kind of couple of weeks day, trek is fine. It keeps the weight controlled. I know a lot of our treks, we try and keep the weight down as much as possible. It's one of the challenges that, we're speaking to other trekkers, and we do get some feedback, and which is great, because we want to kind of help you guys. And a lot of it, some of the challenges are actually around the weight on certain trips, and we're with you on that. It's hard, isn't it, to try and get that, and sometimes these kind of rules or sort of rules guidelines are kind of forced on us as a business, but also on you guys. Obviously we're talking about this, and instead of taking 7, you could take 3. Hopefully that might save half a kilo. Which always seems a shame, doesn't it? You go into these places, why would I be ruthless and not take that amount of base layers? But I think that's part of the adventure, isn't it? And trying to manage what you're taking with you.
Yeah, well, one of the things is, we could probably do a whole live on like weight limits and packing tips and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the fact is, you are not going to have everything that you would like to have on a trip. You've got to be ruthless, and you've got to make sacrifices.
Yeah.
Like Dave said, if he'd probably packed an extra 2 base layers, he wouldn't have been so profoundly smelly. However, he had to sacrifice that because almost certainly he had to bring some Haribos, but like,
exactly.
For me, base layers is something I'll pack more of, and I'll cut down on like other items.
And especially on a trek then. So Dave, like going on let's use Everest Base Camp or Kilimanjaro, because I know a lot of Ever trekkers like Helen as well, flying out to Kili on Friday after a 2-year wait. Wow, Helen, I bet you can't wait. It's great to hear some Ever trekkers that are due to go as well. This is fantastic. I know we got a lot of trips running at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, with regards to like if you were going on that trip, then how many base layers would you take? Like the lightweight ones? What about the kind of mid-level ones?
4 total.
4 total.
4
Okay,
total.
Interesting. Nice.
Generally speaking, I'll have probably 3 cooler ones, and then just one.
Okay.
One
that you can put over something.
Yeah. So 3 that'll be for hot weather.
Yeah.
And then 1 that'll be for cold weather. Because I don't wear the cold weather one all the time every day. I'm not wearing it all the time, Right. So if I was thinking about Kilimanjaro, probably I'd have 3 regular base layers. And generally, what I like to do, and this is Kilimanjaro, Everest Base Camp, I'll wear 1, and then day 2, and then day 3, and then on the 4th day, I'll go back to the first one.
Yeah.
So I'm not wearing any one more than a day in a row, and that does tend to stop it getting like super smelly. And then for days like Kalapata, the summit day, anytime when you're setting off super early in the morning, I'll wear my cold weather one.
Nice. Yeah, similar to me, I suppose. I tend to take about 3 on a 2-week trip. With sometimes I do leave. It depends when I'm going. Like if I know I'm going in sort of the November, like Everest Base Camp or Kili, maybe I'm going in like the February, March trips. Like right now, it's quite warm out there in Kili. I will take sort of 3 main base layers, and sometimes I won't even take a heavyweight base layer.
Yeah.
I'll just take like a wind stopper. Kind of one like a hoodie jacket that I can take out, and they're better for me. They are a little bit heavier on the heavier side, but just some I think that you can wear round camp. You could wear in the airport. Different things like that.
Well, that's it. I mean, one of the because really it has to be really cold for me to want like a really super warm base layer, then a mid layer, then a wind stopper, and then like for me, I think, and this goes to show how different like people are when they're trekking.
Yeah.
Because I've been on treks where I've been trekking in like a t-shirt and a jacket, and it's been like really cold and everyone else is struggling. And then I've seen other people who are like layered up, you can see all the collars coming out of their top because they got so many layers on.
Yeah, because they feel the cold a little bit.
Yeah. So this is one thing that you'll learn about yourself through training.
Yeah.
And why it's important to train throughout the year as well, and not just be like a fair weather hiker. It's hard to be a fair weather hiker in Wales, to be fair. But
anywhere in the world, you have these challenges.
Yeah.
With weather, don't you? It surprises you.
But give me cooler temperatures any day. But
Nice.
So we covered kind of what the warmer.
Yeah, we covered the basics, but some good comments. Sorry, I was just reading some of the comments there. What Bryce said, I use a finisher's t-shirt that you get after a race. For base layers, they dry out really quick. Honestly, it's great, isn't it? You go to an event, you get some of those kind of t-shirts, and most of them are synthetic. They're kind of either polyester, polypropylene, or a mix. They are quite stretchy and the same. Like as an example, Glencoe Challenge, they do one that's really good for that.
A bit small though.
They are. They are a bit. I know. I thought that.
Like I
Don't
ordered
put them in the wash.
I ordered an XL, and I put it on, and I was like, if I sneeze, this is going. Like this is gonna burst. But you know what?
Just to kind of drop in, whilst mentioning finishing and winning and things like that, I feel like it's a really good segue into something that would be awesome, which is actually, I'm going to bring it on screen. I'm going to bring it in, mate. I know, look at this. Zach's off this week, but I thought I'd kind of bring it in anyway. So yeah, with obviously we've been nominated to win the best adventure holiday company. We did win last year. You'll see a little award up here. This is the walk, trekking, and cycling. That was the one we won last year. But they don't do that one anymore, which is a bit nuts. So yeah, if you've been on a trip with us or you've been part of the community and you'd like to vote for us to win this year, it gets announced in November. Then you can use that link there. So it's bit.ly/vote4evertrek 2023. Yeah, if you use that link there, I believe some of the team are going to drop it in the comments as well. So you can actually vote for us. Obviously, I know a lot of you have already, which is amazing. And we'll be getting the kind of results. Hopefully, I think it's in the next 4 to 5 weeks. We'll definitely put in the community the kind of deadline. Because, yeah, it means a lot to us, especially because it's voted by you guys. You know, and it's Europe's largest consumer voted travel award. And it's obviously great to have won it last year. You know, but if maybe you've been on the live and you found it really useful, then yeah, vote for us. That would be fantastic. I just wanted to get that in while Bri was talking about finishing and doing events and things like that.
You know, those finishing T-shirts as well. I do think that the longer you keep them, the cooler they get.
Okay.
Like, so if you see, you know, if I like say this year, if I saw Cardiff Half Marathon 2024, 2023, I mean, time traveled, then I'd be, I'm almost like, well done. But if I saw someone the other day generally walking around Asda and he had a Cardiff Marathon from like 2013. Yeah. And I was almost like, nice. I don't know why. I was like, respect. He's kept it all this time.
Well, because of that time.
Yeah, because all the length of time he's had it. So the older it gets, the cooler it gets, in my opinion.
So I suppose then it's like going to like a rock concert years ago and having the dates on the back of the festival and then, I like that.
Yeah. No, you know, who cares who went to the last show the Beatles did? But when you meet someone who's went to the first ever show in Liverpool somewhere, it's different then, isn't it? You know?
Well, yeah, a long time ago now.
Yeah, you get bragging rights that you were there first.
Yeah,
I mean, they're probably thin on the ground. But
hey, Georgie, how you doing? I hope all is well. Cheers, Jerome. I know you've voted, mate. Thank you so much to everyone else. Yeah, it'd be fantastic. Whilst talking about announcements as well, just drop another link in. We do have another training weekend coming next month. We recently had one last month, which was fantastic. Yep. We had a wonderful group of Evertrekkers join us, Banau Brecaniog, or Brecon Beacons, in here in Wales, and it was an immense weekend. Great to meet so many people who were going on trips. Some people who hadn't even booked in on trips yet, but wanted to kind of, you know, have an experience really what it's like to trek and get pushed a little bit, because we did it's a challenging weekend. Dave touched on it earlier about the weather. You know, we discussed base layers then. You know, we did an equipment talk. We always kind of do it on the weekend, which was great on the Sunday morning. We also had Smurf and some of the guys there, Marty and Dewi, the mountain guides with us, leading and controlling the weekend. It's fantastic. Yep. And they're back again next month. So if you do like to join us, the link is there as well. Definitely jump in. There are still spots available. So yeah, it'd be great to see you there. Obviously, myself and Dave will be there too.
Always are, mate.
Yeah.
Always are.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Sue Thomas, my last live before your trip. Enjoy.
Darren Shadbolt. Dazzer's going.
Hey, Darren, it'd be nice to meet you. Yeah. It's nice to put kind of faces to names on the live sometimes, isn't it?
I know. It is strange though that I never get used to the idea that when you go into these places and you introduce yourself, that people already know what you look like.
Sometimes, yeah.
You know, and
weird,
then
it's kind of nice in a way, because they're like, oh, hey. It's always nice to
I did say, like, if there's a level of celebrity past Z, that's sort of where we are. But, but yeah, by the way, Marky V says 1981 Springsteen. Yeah, mate, I think that counts. That counts.
That is cool.
I mean, that's over 42 years ago, right?
You're trying to remember now, aren't you?
Well, because I was born in 83.
42 years, and I'm 40, that's impressive.
So 42. Mark, you don't look that old, mate. I thought I was older than you.
Hey, Marky V, mate, I hope life is treating you well. You have to pop down again soon. It'd be great to see you. I know you sometimes pop in to pops into Evertrek HQ. Always good to see
Marky V.
Evertrekkers
Marky
for
V's
the
an
new
OG.
bases.
He's an OG viewer. Jerome says it will always be Brecon Beacons because he can't pronounce it. So he can pronounce it in.
That's fine.
He can
It's
do it
all
in.
good.
He can probably say it in French.
He probably could actually.
I think he's.
Yeah, what is it
I
in
think.
French,
I
Jerome?
think I think it's Brecon Beacons.
It's probably still the same.
Yeah, you just say it with a French accent. I think he can speak French anyway. I might just.
He can.
I was going to say.
Yeah, no, we were talking before. But great stuff. Yeah.
Sophie Draycott said, "Talk to me about underwear.
Okay.
What material fabric is best for sweat wicking? I'm doing Killy in October. It's come around quick."
Well, actually, bamboo teams recently over the last few years is a bit of a, because there's always these trends, right? And you want to kind of keep informed about this stuff. And any events we go to, any kind of conventions, things like that, we definitely hear about certain things. And bamboo underwear is now like labeled as one of the best, similar to merino wool for underwear. Again, it's the same as, like, you've got kind of icebreaker, and they do have ladies versions. I've got the men's versions. I've got 3 pairs. They're not cheap, but they're really good underwear, especially if you're doing an active trek or an active day, especially in the heat. And they're off the back of it, they're good in the cold as well. And the guys just put a really good article we wrote about it, about some of the ladies' underwear and things on the Knowledge Center on our website. I think they've put it there. I'll bring it up as well. I think it's called Women Who Wander. Women Who Wander. Sorry, I was reading it verbatim.
Yeah, Women Who Wander. Wandering ladies.
It's really, really good. I think Rosie put that together. Really good article about some different bits of underwear that you can use from the ladies' perspective.
I'm the same. I've tried bamboo and it's great, but for some reason I like what I'm used to.
Yeah.
And I like the merino wool, icebreaker merino wool. I think they're called the Anatomica boxes. You can get the longer ones, which I always buy as well.
Yeah.
So they're really comfortable, no chafing. You can get 4 pairs that'll last you on a 2-week trip. It's really, really good.
Jim there, icebreaker pants. Sorry, I know, Jim. I accidentally put that up there, but it's a good point. I think that's what you were, similar ones you were talking about.
Yeah, they're really good. They're my absolute favorites.
Because it's important, because I think I've certainly had bad days historically, going back a number of years now. Having actually, I remember 2019, we were on a training weekend with Bry and Mick and a lot of other Evertrekkers. So 4 years ago, and I had on the Saturday, I had a really bad chafing disaster where it was bad. It almost hindered the next day. So something to think about.
You get it sometimes, don't you? Remember you bought that cream in Nepal once and nearly made your skin peel off.
That was a bad experience. Like I said, I learned from making the mistake of wearing the wrong undercrackers.
Yeah.
And now I purposely use specific ones, knowing that if you're on a long day, moisture's going to build up. It's going to get warm. Don't want to risk it.
Yeah,
don't want to risk it.
I've got a couple of questions and a couple of recommendations from someone.
Yeah,
who was,
these are good. Flying out some.
So I need to get my Amazon order a second here.
Is it you digging into what you recently bought?
What I've recently bought, but yeah.
Whilst you're doing that, I will just go through some of the comments. Jerome, how do you say that? Le Fares de Brecon. I don't speak French, but it sounds right. Okay. Richard, bamboo clothing is amazing. Used it on Killy. Fantastic. Yeah, and again, I know it can be quite expensive, but it's definitely out there. Laura, hey Laura, how you doing? Some good comments there, replying to Sophie. Sophie, wear what's comfortable for you. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Lots of these things that we're talking about, some of them are on the expensive side, especially merino wool, icebreakers. They can be quite expensive, but definitely find what's good for you. I mean, whilst we're talking about base layers and underwear, Helly Hansen do really, really good budget base layers.
Yeah, the Lifer.
Yeah, they're fantastic really good. Ones. It's called the dry stripe, I remember, especially the long sleeved upper body version. It's called the Helly Hansen dry stripe.
Yeah,
something I know that a lot of skiers will use as well, but definitely really, really good. Talc. So, again, just stealing through the comments. You guys are commenting loads today. Fantastic.
But yeah, one of them, someone has commented.
Found, Dave? What have you found?
So someone has said something about like, what tips for like keeping cool. They were recently on a trip.
Okay.
To Snowdon, and started to feel like quite dizzy on their way down because it was getting too hot for them. I get that a lot. So I've got 2 things that I've recently bought from Amazon
Chuck it on Slack. I'll pop it in the.
Oh, you can put them in, can you?
Yeah.
Nice. So these are really good recommendations.
Yeah.
Okay. That I have used, and I trialed them the other day.
Yeah.
And they were brilliant.
Okay.
They were really good.
It's good, and it's great to see some Evertrackers here put in some different suggestions in as well. What was the name of those undies? I've just been for a wee and missed it. Andrew, how can you miss these things? Don't forget, you can always rewind
go
after.
before the Tuesday tuning.
Let me get those. Nice, Dave. You've sent us.
Yeah. So nice. The question
go for it.
Was from Kate, who said, especially about those high temperatures, guys. You did Snowdon by the Watkin Path yesterday. Felt really dizzy going down due to the unusual heat. Any advice?
Oh wow.
So so it is honestly, Kate, it is really difficult. It's something that's happened to me. I think, it is important to do a couple of things. One, you need to drink way more than you probably think you needed to. That really does help prevent the dizziness. These two things that I've ordered recently are, one's a cool towel, which you soak in water, wring it out, and then like snap it like that. And it stays cool to the touch for about 3 hours.
Yeah, you've been talking about it.
And you can put it around your neck, you can wrap it around your head, and it really does work.
Yeah.
The next one is like just a neck buff that does exactly the same thing. So soak it out, put it on your head, put it around your neck, and again stays cool for. And I tested them the other day, and it really does work. They're really good. But recently, I was listening to, it was an outside podcast.
Outside Online.
Outside
it's
Online.
A good podcast, actually. Really enjoyed it. Obviously not as good as Mount Malarkey's, right? But
no, yes. I mean, it's up there, but not quite as good as that. But and there was an article there about someone who was dehydrated and actually nearly died from dehydration.
Really?
And it takes you through what happens and the symptoms. And there's some stat that was quite interesting there, which is you need to drink you don't realize how much liquid you're actually losing through sweat. Now, you can sweat something like 2 liters or 1.5 liters an hour, but your stomach can only really absorb enough water for about 1 liter or 1.5 liters an hour. Right. So even if you are drinking as much as you can, you won't be able to fully replenish everything that you've lost.
Deficit.
It takes time afterwards. So one thing that really helps, pre-hydrating. Yeah. So making sure you're going into the trek on a hot day as hydrated as you can. So no alcohol the day before, drink plenty of water, drink water in the morning, and go into the hike as hydrated as you can. And then maybe drink like 3-4 liters if you're going up Snowdon on a really hot day. Really keep putting it in.
Seems like a lot, doesn't it? But yeah, you are right. Like even last year on a training weekend in Wales, it's 37 degrees on the Saturday and you're out for several hours. You've got 4 liters of water on you and still people were running out.
Yeah.
Luckily, our guides at the time in Norway, they carry spare water just in case. But again, like 4 liters seems like a lot, doesn't it? You say your normal life, normal working day, 4 liters is like, wow, that's way too much. But you certainly go through it on a hot day.
But on a hot day, the amount that you, particularly me, I know for a fact that I can sweat a lot out.
Yeah.
I think one thing you can boost it. Okay, Jerome's just done it. What you can use to boost your hydration is by putting like hydration salts in your water and things like that.
Yeah,
really does make a difference. But don't forget about the pre-hydration before the hike. Continuing to hydrate after the hike, and drinking plenty during. It's literally, you're just like a basking shark moving through the water, just like taking in as much as you can.
I got that in my mind now because I love basking sharks. I love sharks. I can picture that.
Yeah, that's what it's like.
Water
you see, so
on a trek.
Kate used 3 liters just on the way up. You see, so and honestly, you just need more. But also about keeping cool. So definitely invest in some of those things that keep you cool. I had it before where we did. What was the last big mountain we did together? Cadaridris. And it was what was I like? I think I made a mistake, which was we got up pretty early in the morning, and about an hour before I started the hike, I necked a can of Monster.
Bad idea.
And my heart rate was going insane on the climbs. Way like I was like, just annoyed. And as a result, I was sweating like crazy. But at the end, and we walked past a waterfall, and he's like, "Get in there, Dave." So I'm like,
anything to cool you down because you run hot, and I know a lot of Evertrackers are the same, and exactly, Kate. You did what needed to be done, which was get in some water and cool yourself down because heat stroke and heat exhaustion are dangerous things. You know, a lot of us, essentially, if you're in the sun, will have some form of heat exhaustion.
Yeah.
But yeah, get into the kind of latter end of that is very dangerous, and
one of the worst things I've ever had.
Yeah, it can harm the body for foreseeable future. So definitely look after yourself.
Heat stroke itself, which is often the term people use, is like saying you've got the flu when you've got a cold.
Yeah,
is like the end stages, like coma and death.
Exactly. Yeah, heat exhaustion is pretty much what everyone goes through. Yeah.
But it's not to diminish it any stretch by saying
no.
Because I realized I had it in Mount Toubkal.
Yeah.
And it was one of the most unpleasant things that I've ever actually experienced.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to do it again. And it's horrible because you don't just feel hot, you feel really unwell, and just it was terrible.
Just got some questions as well, because I know by email we had some, and I know we were tackling the comments here, but Anvar Kazmi, on the Kilimanjaro Ahurun Peak night, summit night, we're advised to wear 4 layers, as well as the down jacket, same on legs and double socks. Surely this is over the limit. Are there some really good layers and gloves and socks that one could wear? So many layers, not to be feeling as if you're climbing wearing a straitjacket. It's a really good point. To be honest, when I've seen a lot of people, and it depends on the time of year, but as an example, we were there, I think it was 28th, 29th of February 2020, just for the pandemic. And a lot of people would like that. They had like 4 or 5 layers on. I couldn't believe it. When we did the briefing at the hotel before we actually went on the trek, we were chatting with our guide, Yessi, at the time, and we were talking about, he was like, yeah, make sure you got 4 or 5 layers for summit night. And I was thinking, I never wear 4 or 5 layers on the mountain at summit night. But there was a storm due to come. It actually came in the night before we were due to summit, the day before, which was lucky, because then a lot of people didn't summit that night because of the wind. And then the amount of wind that night was one of the coldest I've ever experienced, which is nuts because you're in Africa. You think it's going to be hot all the time. It was one of the coldest times, wasn't it?
I had a base layer, a mid layer. I used my Gore-Tex jacket as like a wind layer, and then I have my down jacket on as an outer layer.
Yeah.
So the reason they tell you that is because it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Because if you start to get really super cold on a high mountain where you're a long way from the top or the bottom, then it could be a game changer,
Yeah. Debbie's on here as well. Hey, Debbie, how are you doing? I chew a lot of gum when hiking. I find saliva and just keeping my mouth moist keeps the dizziness down. Auto electrolytes. Yeah. I mean, I know, sort of swinging back to what we were talking about then, about water and hydration. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I know some people do that as well. With regards to chewing something and keeping the mouth kind of moist, it can help. I know a lot of guides do talk about that kind of thing, but again, do what you feel is good for you as well.
Remember when I ran out of water on my way down Ben Nevis?
Oh, really?
The only thing I had was like these little Robinson squash squirty things. And I know this is almost certainly going to dehydrate you or make it worse, but just squirting a little bit on my tongue.
Yeah.
Stop the psychological distress.
So made you go like 20 minutes further.
Yeah. Like I was just like every so often when I was like, because thirst, and this is the only time I think I've suffered real thirst.
Yeah.
It was maddening. Like I couldn't concentrate. My mind was just hell bent on getting a drink. So every time I squirt a tiny bit, even though it was sharp and horrible, it kind of just wet my mouth for a little bit. And I was like, okay, I finished the whole thing by the time I got down.
Jesus.
But
Helen Ambrose, how you doing, Helen? Obviously flying out to Kili on Friday. Fantastic. Can we hire bags for the porters to carry? I need to leave some stuff at the hotel, so I'm not sure whether to take a spare bag with me or not. Good question, Dave. I know obviously they can leave some stuff at the hotel.
So can we hire bags for the porters to carry? I need to leave some stuff at the hotel, so I'm not sure whether to take a spare bag with me or not.
I think it's to do, basically she wants to use her own bag, so can we hire something else? Because essentially what you need is...
I see. So you want to borrow... So
I'm just wondering how
I'm thinking. Are you thinking you're coming in with a suitcase?
Yeah.
And you're going to leave the suitcase with stuff you don't need in the hotel.
Yeah.
And then you can hire a bag that your trekking equipment goes in that the porter can carry.
Yeah.
If that's the case, you can rent a duffel bag from our team in Tanzania, and they can certainly carry that for you.
Yeah.
Well, they will carry it for you, but you can. You won't have to rent it and carry it.
I was trying to understand the question in my mind then.
I was thinking then, like, well, they've already got a bag. And then, I don't know why. Absolutely, you can do that if you want. We've had people before turn up with suitcases and then rent a duffel bag and then leave their suitcase back in the hotel.
Yeah, 100% you can do it. It's and hope you're all ready. I must be exciting now. You're probably on countdown, I guess.
Yeah.
Due to it as well. Dan, I've heard merino wool doesn't smell once it's dried out. Is this true?
I managed to make it smell for a while. took me a few days of continual hard trekking, but I did. No, it's like
Brilliant.
antimicrobial, isn't it?
Yeah, some of them are good, aren't they?
And because it a lot of what happens with the smell is obviously when sweat gets onto it and then it dries onto the garment. A really good base layer will allow it to like move and evaporate. So actually a lot of what causes the smell, that bacteria from your sweat, is just being evaporated. But certainly some will remain, depends how much you sweat. I think the ones that are worse are like the synthetic ones. They get a bad smell.
However, they do actually, don't they?
I've got a couple of recommendations of base layers.
You've made some notes.
These are ones that I've bought recently, and I've trialed recently on a few of our treks and yesterday. So for warmer weather, the Rab Sonic, which I think is around £40, something like that.
Okay.
You can get, again, if you go merino, it'll be way more expensive. If you go for like mountain warehouse or regatta, it'll be cheaper.
Is it blue?
It is. It's a grey.
Oh, nice. Only because it's Sonic.
Oh yeah.
Thinking that would be cool, wouldn't
it? Then there's for my colder weather base layer, I use the Rab Conduit. These are ones that I've all bought recently to replace some of the stuff that I've had.
Yeah.
I also have an icebreaker merino wool. I think it's the 150 every day.
They have it up there. So they got thickness. They got the 175 and the 200 as well. They are a bit thicker, but the 150 is
the lighter one for me. I also bought another warm weather one, the Mountain Equipment Emmy Nava, which is like this bright orange base layer with a zip and blue sleeves, I think. Nice. And I wore that Sunday, and it was a really good base layer. Nice. I recommend always getting ones with like a long zip. Why I love the Rab ones is the zip comes down to about the middle of your chest. So if you want to unzip that, it's like an immediate cooling effect. Really good.
Loza Debs, how you doing? I received the Evertrek hoodie. Yeah, thanks for buying it. Yes, wore it in the heat. Had some positive comments. I love it. Great to hear, Loza. I hope all is well. Simon, is the bag situation the same in Peru? Can I leave the bag at the hotel? Yes. So essentially, I know when you arrive, there's a night, depending on when you arrive, there's a night in Lima. Normally the kind of airport hotel, because you're getting your other flight to Cusco. In Cusco, you can. You can leave, again, your bag, your valuables, whatever you don't need for kind of the trek and your time at Machu Picchu, Ollantaytambo, and Aguas Calientes. You can leave it there, which is fine. And then obviously you can take, obviously your gear for the trekking onwards. So yeah, mate, I hope all is well, Simon. It feels like ages since we met at the training weekend all those years ago. But I hope all is well. Nice to see you. Nice to see you on the live.
Darren Shadbolt, Step 1, any good? I'm wearing them as we speak. I do like the Step 1 boxer shorts. I really do. They're kind of my everyday ones, but I also like them because I do wear them on treks and stuff like that as well. Yeah. Not the multi-day stuff. So Everest Base Camp, anything I'm going to be wearing them multiple times. I tend to just stick with the merino wool ones. Yeah. But Step 1 are really good because they've got that anti-chafe layer on the inside. They're really comfortable. Crazy designs. You can get them the more you buy, the cheaper they are as well. Yeah. But they're really good. I use them as like my everyday boxers as well. And on like one day events, they're fine as well.
You were saying Step 1, I was waiting for Step 2, but I realized Step 1.
Yeah, no, that's it. Yeah.
I've not heard of them. Jerome, zips. Good point actually. When it comes to base layers, you get some that don't have zips. You get some that have the little zips here, and you get some that go all the way down. And it's personal preference again. I personally like one that has at least a kind of zip here. Just that, again, if you get warm, you're walking, even in the cold weather, you can just, obviously take it off, and then you get cold, you can zip it back up again. Yeah. I much prefer the big, chunky, heavy-duty zips. These are durable and easier to use with gloves. But they are ones that you do get the full kind of all the way down. They're good as well. They generally tend to be on the heavier side. They do make them for thin ones, but because of the material, they're slightly different. Definitely. And Jerome makes a good point there. If you are using them, in slightly colder weather, and you don't want to take off your gloves, they are easier to kind of use than the little one at the top here. Yeah. You know,
awesome. Helen Graham Gordon just tuned in. Microfiber undies any good? Microfiber undies. I don't really know that I've ever tried
microfiber
them or use it. I've heard of microfiber towels before.
I suppose it'd work because they do. Microfiber does dry quite quickly. It's interesting if anyone's used microfiber undies or heard of any. Yeah, drop in the comments.
Yeah,
be good to see. I haven't used them personally. Dave Rimington, could you do a black Evertrek breathable T-shirt? Yes, we could. We're hoping to bring some in the near future, especially to the kind of. It's been in the works for many times, but we'd had to prioritize certain things over the last kind of 18 months.
Some years back, didn't we? Some like training tees.
They were there was a bit of a test batch that was.
I mean, but
they
weren't the best, I don't think.
No, they're more like the ones we've trialed over the years are essentially similar to what Bryce said. They were like similar to when you finish a marathon or anything. They're like event T-shirts.
But they felt heavier, I think.
They were heavy.
They were like quite a heavy material.
Yeah.
Where I like the light, breathable ones. I think I've still got one knocking around, you know.
Yeah, they're really good. But yeah, we can definitely look at that. We'd like to have some breathable, even if they were merino wool type. Rather than the cotton ones. I know a lot of Evertrekkers wear these like out and about and to the gym and things like that, which is awesome. We're all seeing them on social media, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely we'll look into that, Dave. Good idea, mate.
Yep. Awesome. So when it comes to base layers, what specific base layers do you use then? Because I pretty much use like those grab ones.
Yeah, I've got loads. I mean, in terms of if I was taking on a trek, I've got the merino wool base layers, which are icebreakers.
Is that the one with the T-shirt with the bear on it?
It's got the Evertrek ones. The ones I've used.
Oh yeah, because I got two of them as well.
I love them.
They're icebreaker T-shirts.
Yeah, they're quite expensive, about £70-80 for a T-shirt. But absolutely fantastic because they again quite sweaty, but that's what they're there for. They'll wick it away. It'll dry quite quickly. I'll also use I've got a lot of Montaigne ones.
Yeah,
some
Dart, is it?
Yeah, the Dart, the one with the zip.
Yeah,
got that as well. Again, I've got the thicker one, which is the Rab I'll pull on. I'll use that, and I've also got some old kind of basic ones, like an old Berghaus one I like to wear.
I think you've had that Berghaus one
for over
ever since
10 years.
Ever since I've known you, the Berghaus fleece gets busted out.
It's
the Berghaus base layer, and the red fleece.
And the red fleece, yeah. That's Berghaus fleece, good memory. Well, the thing is, if you're around camp and stuff, that's the kind of one I like to throw on.
Yeah.
Whereas the base layer, it's an all-rounder. If it's really cold, I won't wear it. It's too lightweight.
Yeah.
I like something that gives me a little bit more warmth to cool ratio, which sounds a bit weird, but you do get those ones that they're all-rounders.
Yeah.
I'd say, for instance, like the icebreakers, they're all-rounders.
Yeah.
Good in the heat, good in the cold. That's why they're £80.
You see, I love the T-shirt, the Evertrek T-shirts we got, those icebreaker ones.
Yeah.
I love it, although I think mine shrunk or something because it stopped fitting me. But but what I
definitely shrunk.
Yeah, I think that's what it was, just shrunk in the wash.
Yeah.
But those icebreaker base layers.
Yeah.
I wore one. We had that picture of me covered in salt.
That's right. Oh, mate,
that's the one. That was an icebreaker 150. Still too hot for me in the hot weather.
Really?
I've got to go cooler again.
You may as well just wear nothing.
Well, this is what I've started wearing, just the T-shirts now. The really super light T-shirts with a big long zip. As close to nothing as I can get, to be fair.
It's good though. It's and again, Andy has mentioned Andrew there. Sprayway base layers. Sprayway are good. Yeah. I've heard good things about them. Not use them personally, but I've heard decent things about them being used on treks. Richard, the staff at Springlands, love my Summit Zone T-shirt. Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. Always nice to hear that kind of classic T-shirt from the Summit Zone. To anyone that doesn't know, by the way, Summit Zone is something we've done since last year. Now it is changing at the end of the year. We will be releasing more details in the community about it. But yeah, the kind of iteration of what it is now, it will change a little bit just as we move forward. And this is brand new, and we sometimes bring some ideas. And our idea with the Summit Zone is to work closely or more closely with Evertrekkers in terms of preparing for their trips. More in a one-to-one. I know we do these, but it's more direct because we do kind of Zoom calls and things like that, and specific workshops based on certain things. But yeah, it's going to be kind of revamped, going to kind of G it up a little bit for next year. We'll definitely be putting more details about it. But thanks, Rich. I hope all is well.
Yeah.
All is well, mate, since your return. Helen, Decathlon Merino wool t-shirts. Yeah, Decathlon's great. You know, they have lots of budget options. And, you know, we're not gear snobs. We'll wear anything and test anything. They, you know, if they work, they work, right?
I bought almost all my skiing equipment from Decathlon. Really good. I know Rosie as well got a lot of stuff. Andy Harry says a through dark merino base layer.
Good.
To be honest, they are really good, and I'm actually in the process of remortgaging so I can get one. No,
exactly. They're pricey.
Through dark are on the expensive side, but I think they're on the premium stuff.
They are.
I do think it looks cool.
It looks really cool, doesn't it?
I
do like the brand.
I like the way they.
I don't own any through dark stuff. I kind of might get some stuff just to test it out. I'll get into touch and say, hey, you want to test it out? But yeah, they are on the premium side, that's for sure.
I think they've
obviously good.
They've got a really good kind of community there with this like military and stuff like that.
It's a background, isn't it?
Yeah, they had a really awesome pair of trekking trousers that I was going to buy. And then when I logged on, and I was like, and the rest. And I was like, do it? No.
But like anything, you know, good stuff. And again, there's so many different variances. We talked about, you know, the Decathlon. You know, if you're on a bit on a budget, and then you've got the other end of the spectrum, which is like, you know, you get your icebreakers, but even more so, you get your through darks. You know, and they're absolutely. There's definitely a broad spectrum out there.
That's probably it.
So whatever works for you guys, you know.
The Charge trousers, I think that was it.
Charge.
Oh, and Tamarin, she's still
hey, Tamarin,
still hanging around in the back. Doesn't always show up on the comments anymore.
Yeah, she's Hey, Tamarin, I hope all is well.
Yeah, and those Decathlon merino wool stuff is really good, really good. Yeah, I like they make some. Is it four class? I think they do trekking trousers and stuff like that. If you want a nice lightweight pair, good trekking trousers, stuff like that.
Brilliant.
Yeah, Rosie's well up for all of that.
Well, no, and boy, do they charge? Yeah, they definitely do, Andy. Well, look, any final questions? Do post them in the comments. I know we're coming towards the end now, talking about base layers. I mean, Dave, you know, we've got a few minutes left. In terms of base layers, then, so essentially, keep it simple.
Yeah,
you know, you don't need loads. You know, 3 or 4 on a trip. Split them a little bit. Have lightweight. Have slightly heavier ones.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd suggest around base layers?
I think, so you've covered off. So pretty much on all of our trips, you're going to get sort of 4 seasons. You know, you're going to be hot, you're going to be cold. You may even be a bit wet. I always think peace of mind is the best thing. So if you're not sure whether to bring it heavy or not, then bring it. The base layer is one of those ultra important pieces of equipment that you'll wear every single day, the same as your socks, your boots, and your underwear. Stuff I tend to kind of focus on a little bit more. I'm more likely to kind of sacrifice certain other things in order to bring an extra base layer because I know it's going to be great. And again, I think it's that old adage that I liked, which is, you know, I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. If you get a thin base layer, they don't weigh much, they don't take up much space. You can always find it. Even if you're worried about the thing to look like, you can take it out and stuff it in your pocket, you know. But yeah, I think you don't have to overthink it. Get the best you can within the budget that you've got. There's no need to kind of go into your overdraft to get all this equipment and build it up gradually. You know, a lot of us in the trekking community have got tons and tons of this stuff, but not because I went out and bought it all at the same time. Yeah, you know, I had the same 4 base layers for about 6 years. And it's only now that I've literally in the past 2 weeks that I've actually gone and bought new ones.
Shopping spree, Dave. Huh?
I had to, mate. It was some of them had holes in them.
Yeah, I know you mean. It's good to replace them every now and again.
Yeah,
especially the amount of training you do. That amount of, you're out in the mountains a lot.
Well, yeah,
things don't last forever, you know.
And it's just that they've done like. The one base layer I know for a fact I had when I very first went to Everest Base Camp in 2016. Yeah. And all the trips and all the hikes and all the training weekends and all the mountain bike rides and all the runs and everything that I've done in it. And I held it up the other day and I was like, I'm fond of it.
I got stuff
but
like
it's
that.
Time to
move on.
It's time to move on.
And moving on. Rob Smith, any plans for a training weekend up in the Black Culin on Skye? Oh, mate, that sounds awesome. I love the Isle of Skye. We haven't got any plans for Scotland. We do trips. We tend to do trips like a winter skills weekend. We got one in January, and I will, if we can, some of the Yetis on the comments, Yeah, if you can drop the Winter Skills weekend into there, that is a trip we do in January. It's fantastic. Really good for anyone looking to go to like Toubkal in winter, Aconcagua, any of the peaks like Mera Peak, Island Peak, Summits of Fire. Even if you go into somewhere like the Uganda trip we recently launched with the gorillas in Uganda, and the Ruwenzori Mountains and Margarita Peak, definitely highly recommend it for anyone that's looking to take that skill and expand their comfort zone. There we go. It's in the comments there. Get on that weekend. It's really good. We obviously do it closer to home in terms of Brecon Beacons and Bannow Brecaniog here in Wales over the last several years. But we are planning to do more in the UK. We understand we get a lot of Evertrekkers in Scotland. We do get a lot of Scottish customers coming down to Brecon for the weekend, which is great. Yeah. I appreciate it's a long way to travel. We are looking to try and do some more in the UK if we can over the next few years and kind of expand the repertoire for doing more training weekends. In Scotland and England, hopefully as well over in around Europe. Which would be fantastic. But right, Dave, well, I think you kind of summarized it really well. I think, base layers, whether you go expensive, whether you go cheap, they're really important things. Definitely part of your, a key part of keeping warm and a key part of keeping cool, especially in weather like it is at the moment, which is nuts in September, but it's nice. But I suppose that's kind of it, Dave, I think, for base layers.
I think that's it, mate. Yeah, I think we got a good, we can move on there.
Definitely. Well, look, thank you very much. Awesome to see you all. We will be back next week. Definitely bring all of your questions next week. I know some people asked around packing and weights and things like that. I forgot who mentioned that comment, but really good idea for another Evertrekker Tuesday tune-in. Anything like that as well. Do drop us a message, a DM. Do drop us any sort of comments, definitely in the group around suggestions for these as well, because obviously we do come up with these. We do come up with different subjects and themes. But if you can, if you can do it. You're not allowed. I saw the message.
Oh yeah.
If you can do that, that'll be great, and we'll definitely do some of those going forward. But thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
Awesome. Take
Bye.
it easy.